Hello and welcome to This Is. We are
Wait,
so
sorry,
back,
breaking
baby.
news. This Is Premium has just been greenlit. We're now part of the Disney streaming bundle. Oh, sorry. For only $69.99 a month. Subscribe now. It'll be included in your cable bill. Terms and conditions may apply. Sorry, Matt. I had breaking news there. Yeah. We've been joking about this for a little bit, but it's actually getting really real. It's not funny.
It's real. Comcast will be having Netflix, Peacock.
So basically, what you're saying here is that Comcast, who has for many years sold you cable packages with all the various channels and bits and bobs. Now that all of the individual networks and whatnot have made their own streaming services, Comcast, so guess what? I'm reeling you back in. Do you have to pay for cable and you get the bundle?
Unknown. They just said, hey, this is gonna happen.
Okay.
Details TBD.
They're gonna give you all this stuff for cheaper.
Yes. So it's supposed to be at a vastly reduced price.
Like This Is Premium, currently available for a vastly reduced price. Just check your bill. We've already added it, as well as a $33 surcharge for the carriage fee of Matt's face. His rider was really expensive this year.
This package here is called Stream Saver.
I hate that.
Stream Saver.
No.
And the goal is to take some of the dollars out of rival offerings.
So we're talking about Apple TV Plus.
Yep.
We're talking about Netflix. What was that one?
And Peacock, which is
Peacock, okay.
already owned by Comcast. So right now, if you were to sign up for each of those individually, it is $23.
Okay.
And that's ad supported. The other thing that's annoying about them is it's the 480 plans. So we've kind of seen this a little bit with cell phone companies. Every cell phone company has some sort of offering of hey, this is included.
Or $10 extra a month. You get two things. Yeah,
and you get it slightly cheaper. What's going to be weird and even more confusing about this is what these plans actually are, because there's so many different tiered plans within these, whether it's ad-supported, whether it's multi-screen. I could see them doing something stupid where this only works through Comcast hardware, their version of a box or a streaming stick.
Maybe.
They're not the only ones who are doing this.
Yeah.
So Warner Discovery.
Yep. Okay,
which is
so another one.
Yeah.
They own Max, so they have HBO, they have the Discovery line.
ABC, CNN, DC Comics, Marvel Comics.
Oh, you can't put those two together.
Oh yeah, they're intertwining. This is the catalyst. We have the ability now to bridge universes. We can have a John and Kate +8 crossover. The Avengers go back in time to stop John Gosling.
On one hand, the last 5, 6, 7 years, we've seen every major entertainment company on the face of the planet try to make their own streaming service because oh God, our current revenue streams, whether it be movies, whether it be, TV and cable and stuff, is gonna start drying up. We gotta come up with something.
Netflix was just succeeding so much because of syndication. What that was is a network says, here's our show, we're gonna air it in our primetime lineup. Once it's aired and we got the primetime viewership, what are we gonna do with this? You can either do reruns, which most networks do, or we can syndicate it and let other networks play our content for money. And that's essentially what Netflix was doing when everyone started becoming obsessed with The Office on there.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec, 30 Rock. Yeah, all these networks were just hey, we aired these 5, 6, 7 years ago. Let's get some new life out of them on the streaming platform.
Totally.
So all the companies are wait, why are we letting Netflix get all the money for this? And so oh, we're just gonna do it ourselves. Except there's only 1 or 2 flagship things. Peacock has been trying to just ride The Office for all it's worth. Paramount.
Yep.
Let's talk about them. So that's CBS is their main thing. Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon.
And they're currently actually going through a bit of drama. They actually just fired their CEO. They're currently in the middle of selling potentially to Sony, but theoretically, while Paramount Plus exists and they have some very popular shows, when you think about people who are gonna pay $5, $10, $15 a month for things, if you're gonna sign up for all these different platforms, unless you're a weirdo like Matt, Paramount Plus might be a little bit lower on the list. What we're seeing here is essentially all of the media, used to be on broadcast TV. You have your antennas and you had 5 channels, whatever. Then in the 80s especially, the cable industry exploded and suddenly you went from having 5 channels to 50 to 100 to 200 to et cetera, et cetera. But now in the last 5, 6, 7 years, all of that content sort of left cable or has been sort of being deprioritized on cable and pushed to everyone's own streaming platform.
Let's talk about the circle of life with cable. In the heyday of cable, everyone's man, what am I going to do with 200 channels? I don't need all these channels.
I remember that.
Why can't I just pick an a la carte option? I only want this network. I only want this network. Well, that's what we have now. And then what did they say? Wait a minute. I can't afford to have all these things.
Just a little bit of context here. As far as I understand, every streaming service that's not named Netflix loses money even to this day. And without that traditional sort of like cable sort of bundle to kind of help support things, everyone's losing money right now, right? So I think what we're seeing here is that for a while, all these companies are shoveling money in. You see like AT&T buying people. And I think now we're getting to the point where everyone goes, oh shit, we actually have to like make money on these things, which is why the bundles are coming back.
Well, that's the reason you had 200 channels before, is because when someone like Viacom came and said, hey, we'll put Comedy Central or MTV or Nickelodeon on your cable package, but if in order to do that, you have to take our other 10 like whatever bullshit channels, like ESPN 8 The Ocho, like all those other sub channels. In order to get the primetime channels, they also have to assign an agreement to take those other ones, and then the networks would come around and sell ad space on those things, which would then offset the cost of all the big channels. People consume just truly so much content.
I have something on my heart right now. It is a deep hatred for everything that's happening right now, because guess what? We have been shown the promised land. We have seen the beautiful green pastures of getting content for like $10 a month on a streaming service and no ads in 4K, and it was beautiful and wonderful. And then these cold-hearted bastards have taken away our freedom and forced us back to the scurvy seas. Yes, my friends, you know where I'm going with this. Oh, a pirate is me, you are a pirate.
These companies make it so hard to consume their content legally. This is where it gets really complicated. This was the whole reason we had the actors strike. A lot of these companies don't want to pay residuals. Binging is like what actually is like killing streaming.
Whoa.
Because every time you stream an episode, they have to pay residuals to the actors, to whoever got points on the back end, like, which is a good thing. Like, you should be paying your actors, you should be doing all that stuff. The whole industry as a whole was never built on that someone would watch all of The Office 9 times in a month. Look, if you're on a dating app and you're like, my whole personality is I love The Office, I'm a Jim looking for my Pam, or vice versa. Fuck off. So anyway, the fact that we have all this unlimited access to content is the very thing that is killing the access to unlimited content for cheap. That's the whole reason, hey, are you still watching? Is that their way of trying to say, because they have to pay a little bit. The idea of these streaming platforms originally was, it was the gym membership model.
Yeah.
We're hoping that, you
watch 4 things a month, and then like
you watch a little bit, and then no one realized, oh, people will never turn off their television again. Yeah. And that's why these platforms are just hemorrhaging money
to create the original content, right? Like, you think about, like, I'm going to single out Disney Plus here. When Disney Plus first came out, I would say the first, like, 2 years or so, it felt like every week there was another episode or two of some incredibly highly produced show, whether it's something like in the Star Wars universe or whatever the case is. Each episode was like a half of a movie or whatever. Like, it was absurd budgets. And that was great. And that definitely got a lot of people in the door. But the problem was, at the time, Disney Plus was what? $6-7 a month? Like, that was not sustainable. So what we've seen is that they've tried to expand out and get other types of content in. And guess what we've also seen? How was the last time you watched a Disney Plus original?
Loki.
And that came out 6 months ago?
Yeah.
At least? Honestly, pretty much same for me. So, like, they've slowed down that kind of cadence. They still have those big tentpole reasons for you to stay subscribed to the service. But what we're seeing is it's getting much more expensive, and the content is slowing down.
Because that was the other thing when Netflix would just be like, here's the entire series.
I hate that so much.
And then everyone watched 2 years worth of work in a day.
Yeah, I hate that.
And then they're like, we need more, please.
Yeah.
Gimme.
Imagine if they just dropped a season of Game of Thrones at one time.
HBO brought back the water cooler talk on Monday.
I think I'm probably the last person. Don't spoil it for me, you sick freaks.
You didn't see the end of Young Sheldon?
Coming back around to like the original premise of this video, what we're looking at is essentially all of the content that we see on streaming platforms that is, theoretically a la carte, is quickly becoming so expensive that you were going to want to get in a bundle. And as you pay for more and more bundles, whether it is an upcharge on your cell phone bill, whether it's an upcharge on your cable bill, what we're seeing here is that, yes, I will argue that this is better than cable used to be, because first of all, we do get access to this on multiple devices, so you can watch on your phone, or your laptop, or whatever the case is. And it is, I do think, overall cheaper, generally speaking. Most people could spend $30 a month and get all of the content that they want. And that's way cheaper than cable ever was. But, and I think the big reason why cable still has the foothold that it does, besides old people, is the sports side of things. I'll tell you, I pay for YouTube TV not to watch Family Feud reruns every night, but to keep up with sports, primarily Formula One. Sports has been a huge driver of cable, whether you're paying for DirecTV or YouTube TV for streaming, because guess what? ESPN and sports makes a lot of money, and that has been the sort of the golden goose that no one wanted to touch.
And that's been getting muddier and muddier and muddier. Because all the streaming platforms know this, and they all want a piece of it. Thursday Night Football is going to be on Amazon Prime. Friday Night Baseball is going to be on Apple TV. So where do you watch all this stuff?
Yeah.
Everyone has been segregated into their streaming services, and now we're jumping these barriers for sports. On top of all the other bundles we talked about, there's now going to be a joint one with ESPN, Fox, and TNT, and they have Venue Sports. So now we're going to have an entirely new streaming service.
You know, here's the thing. I feel like we've gotten what we asked for, and that, you know, it used to be you pay your $80 a month for your cable bill, you get all the channels at the end. We have a la carte now, but the problem is it's a apocalyptic hellscape of different streaming platforms.
Yep. I watch what I want to watch. I cancel it. I go to the next one.
I could not tell you right now how much money I spend a month on subscriptions. I specifically don't want to know because I pay for YouTube TV, Spotify Premium, YouTube Premium, Netflix, and Max.
So it comes back to, I guarantee a lot of the comments are just, I just pirate everything. And this is where it gets tough because I don't blame anyone for going and pirating all this stuff. It's not realistic to try and get all this stuff. Where I struggle with is the same thing. The first people who get hurt when you pirate something is the crews who work on it.
That's true. That's true.
Because you know that the exec's not like, oh, we'll just have to take a pay cut here. They're gonna close and lay off people.
That's true. I'm not gonna sit on my moral high horse and tell you what you should or shouldn't do.
I'm
except
not either.
Use protection, friends.
I'm telling you my moral dilemma. There's no good way for me to watch the Buffalo Bills in California. So my friend sends me a spicy link.
Theoretically, hypothetically speaking.
Wait, spicy link is OnlyFans. Never mind.
You can choose to do whatever you want. But my thought on this is that we're going to continue to see more and more bundles. Your cable company, the cable part of the business is sort of shriveling up and dying right now. They're trying to keep your money flowing, and they're going to use every bit of their leverage while they've got it to force all these bundles and all these sort of companies to come together and sell you the streaming stuff so it's cheaper when it comes through them. But realistically, even if you're saving $2 or $3, Comcast is making $10 and all the streaming services are getting squished and squished down. I do think it's worth mentioning. We should appreciate the fact that you do at least have choices, and it's not like before where you had to pay $80 a month at the end. Like, you know, you can pick and choose and you can decide what exactly you want, but ultimately it is so tough to try to get your hands on all the content and watch all the stuff that you want. But thankfully, there's a solution. We just need to invent a time machine, go back to 2018 when all the streaming platforms were good and all cost like $3 a month, and we'll all live happily ever after.
Like, follow, subscribe, let us know what you're going to pirate hypothetically with your hypothetical pirating machine, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Learn how to torrent children, but do it responsibly, please.
My fellow Americans.
That no one is going to get that reference, Matt.
The young.